Hello legends and super legends, welcome to Veloharmony. Today I'm going to be using an on-screen recording for the first time here. I want to cover something. One of our legends came and asked, his name is Tony, about how to build a route in unfamiliar locations, and this requires that I basically show you my process of building routes and how to find quiet roads to ride in. So I hope this will help some of you that are having challenges. Depending on where you are, it doesn't matter what location you're in, this is how you find places to ride. See here, I can just show the comment that Tony used. It'll be a lot easier. Let me see here. Tony says, great ride, great channel. Could you do a primer about finding relatively safe cycling routes in unfamiliar locations? I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I live in Dallas-Fort Worth, where I do most of my riding at area state parks. How do I find safe country roads outside the metro area? In the suburbs, there's too much stop and go riding in the quiet neighborhoods. Well, the great thing about what Tony is doing right now is that the state parks is a great place to ride. In some of our rides that we just showed, like the Texas Trail ride, we went through like a national forest. State parks are great because low traffic, but I think I know what Tony's talking about. There's no silver bullet, Tony. What I do is let me walk you through. I just type Google Maps on here. That's all I did in my search, and it shows up. You get the results here, and I'm going to click maps.google.com. However you get there, just get to the maps, okay? And the key is, there's a couple of things I use. I will show you something else when I'm done, but you don't have to have Garmin for that. Not everybody has a Garmin computer and using Garmin Connect, but I will show you what I do in a little bit. But if you're just using Google Maps, you see this yellow Highway 45, that's a major interstate. Sometimes the feeder roads are okay, they're fine. You don't have a lot of intersections. They're not exactly that interesting. The only reason I'm talking about this is because when the roads are in yellow, that means the speeds are higher. So what you want to look for are the roads that are in white. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to type, let's say your area. You're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Let's say I'll just type Dallas, Texas. Okay, so that's the Dallas metro area here. Let me close this thing on the side so we have more map. Okay, there we go. So now you can see all the yellow roads down here. It's got Sam Rayburn Tollway. I'm not that familiar with Dallas. I used to be around that area from time to time in the Irving area, and that's where I would ride. That's Irving right here. Now you're saying Dallas-Fort Worth. That's basically what this is between Dallas and Fort. We got Arlington, Grand Prairie. You got a lot of little towns in between Dallas. And from my experience in Dallas, everybody lives outside, McKinney, Grapevine, all those places. So you got choices. But what we want to do is I'm going to increase the view on this map. All these yellow roads, that means the traffic's moving faster. It's busy. That's what that is. A lot of them have higher speeds. Now sometimes you don't have heavy volume on the yellow roads. So what we do is we only use these yellow roads to get to the roads that you see in white. The only limitation on these maps is they don't tell you which roads are gravel. I'm going to drag it over here. I'm going to focus on Irving right here. This is just, you can pick any area, Grand Prairie, wherever you live. And I'm going to keep going down and make Irving a little bigger. Now, I remember this road, North Beltline Road. When I used to go out there was a high volume of cyclists using this road. Doesn't mean there's not a whole lot of intersections. So I know what you're talking about. You're looking for rural roads. But the way your area is laid out, you're going to have to venture out. So what we do, we're similar to you in the Houston area because it's all spread out. So what we do is we go away from the main metro area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this map. This is Irving here. There's Arlington. So from time to time, you're not going to be able to do this all the time. There's nothing wrong with riding in town if you pressed for time, you're just going to have to pick up the pace between those stop signs and lights to get back up to speed quickly. And that will keep your effort up. But I think what you're talking about is these are the roads you're looking for. You see here, this is Fort Worth. You want to ride outside of Fort Worth. Look here, area called Dicey, Willow Park, right? All of these are the roads you're looking for. See that 1886? I'm going to make that a little bigger. These are the roads that definitely I know this road is not. I mean, not that I've seen that road, but my familiarity with the maps. All the roads that have these numbers like 1886 and then they got names on them, most of them are going to be low traffic. And look at this bad boy. You can see there aren't a whole lot of intersections here. That's what you're looking for. So when you're mapping your course, you're going to have to decide where you park your car. So let's say you live in Fort Worth, or let's say you live in Arlington and you're driving all the way out here. You want to park on the edge of a metropolis. Find a state park, or you can find a stop and go, some place that's frequented by people. If you're going to be leaving your car there, it needs to be relatively kind of safe. A park's a good place. A strip center that has like a grocery store or something, that's another good place to start. I always like to start on the edge of the area where I'm going to ride, so I have more riding to do. You don't want to come start here unless you're going to be riding way out here like that. So for example, this map here, this is Fort Worth. You can see how here, all these little neighborhoods, that's what you're talking about. A lot of stops in between here. So what I would do is I would drive out here and look for, let's see, there's a golf course. There's a high school right here. Look at that. Alito High School. That's a great place to park. You find a high school parking lot, doesn't matter what time of day it is, it's always going to be a little area that you can park your car. So let's say you start your ride here. This is a good road, 1187. It goes across or under 20. Right here might be a little congested, but that's just to get you out of town. So now look at how many options you have. You can go north up there, or you can go south and then west. But look at this. You could use 1187, go all the way to 5 and do a loop. And I see some road here called Bankhead. On here, you would spend a little bit of time on this feeder on 20, just enough to get you to East Bankhead Highway and come back. That's a loop here. That could be a short loop depending on your time that you have. If you wanted to make it bigger, you would just come down 1187 and continue all the way here. You don't want to go that way because that's going to keep you on 20 for too long. You want to avoid riding. I mean, it's safe, but it's just not that interesting. So I would make a loop to where you come down here, take from the high school, take 1187 down here, and let's see, you could probably go down here to 377. Now, even though 377 here is yellow, the speeds are faster, but you're not going to have the volume of traffic because you can see how bare this area is. You won't have too many cars passing like they would in Fort Worth. So you could come down here, ride this feeder, come back. That's how you find these routes. So now that's one choice. And then up here above 20, look at all these roads you have. There's no intersection. You could ride 1186 for a long time. And so what you could do is go up 3325, same high school. That's the thing. You find a good place to park, you stay with it, and then every time you go in a different direction. 3325 all the way up to, you could even start and go to 1886, 1186. Now, the key is that you want to map the course to know how many miles you're dealing with as far as how many hours it will take you. And that's where I want to take you from here to, let's see. Choose your starting point or click on the map. So what I'm going to do is go to the high school here. Okay. And choose the destination or click on the map. So maybe I'll do this one. Okay, good. That's what you would do. There we go. So now, so let me backtrack a little bit. I'm going to close this. So all I did was I came over here and I asked, there was an arrow for directions. And so I clicked on the arrow for directions. I clicked on the starting point on the map. It put that in there. Then I clicked on the end point. Now you can continue to drag this to change your location. And you can see what I'm doing. It's following the road. You could build your own course that way. Oops, it jumped. You got to be real careful sometimes. Let's see here. Go there. It's giving me options. There's another option, a second option. I'm gonna click here. Down via Farm Road 730. So 20 miles that way. And what it's saying is, if you went this way, it would be more miles to get to this same point. So you could take this. I think there's a way you can drag it. There we go. So that's another route. And what I'm trying to do is drag to change look. So the key is that I think the best thing to do, since the limitation on here, you can send the directions to your phone. That's also a nice feature. The limitation on here is that it does not allow you, unlike on Garmin Connect, to put in the pace that you think you're going to hold. Like if you know you average 15 miles an hour usually, you could type that in there and it will give you the time that it would take. So this 2 hour here to do 22.6 miles, you probably can do 22.6 miles in less than 2 hours. So what it's using, I don't particularly see where they let you add your average pace, because I selected cycling up here for the directions and put in the beginning and end points, and that's how you get it. So let me see how I do a loop, because it keeps changing when I try to move that. There we go. I'll move that back up. These little pieces here, you got to be careful here. Yes, I dragged it back. So I'm going to bring that and come down here. As you drag this, that is telling me 28.1 miles on the left here. So that's like, this is almost like, yeah. So it's telling me 2 hours and 32. There's no way it will take that long. So you just kind of have to know what kind of pace you usually hold. The terrain will decide, and you give yourself enough time, and you can always play around. You see that you've got options. If you get up here and it was windy, you want to cut it short, you come straight down 1886. And as you get out there, you can decide, okay, yeah, even though I mapped it out, I don't really like this road per se, then you could try another road. That's how you do it. This is a small town here outside of Fort Worth, outside of 820 here. You could go that way if you wanted, or you could come back this way. I'm gonna go down here. Let me just drag this over here. It keeps flipping over. I want it to stay on that big loop. I'm gonna drag it back. There, okay. And you're going through like a little town here, and it comes to 30. Now you have an option. There's a small road here. Let me make this bigger. There's a small road right here. You can see it. So instead of going to 30, I like to use these kind of roads to come back across. Let me see if a name. Yeah, there we go. We got a name. When you get deeper, it gives you a name. So you're in a little subdivision here. You know, that's fine. I like, this is a quiet. Chapel Creek Boulevard looks like it will be nice and quiet. So you come all the way down here. And then you go this way. Oops, stop there. There we go. I got to be careful here. It's trying to pick the shortest way. That's the way they designed this. I'm looking for the longest way. It's not used to that. So I have to drag it back. You can see what I'm doing. So once you do that, now I'm going to drag it over. I'm going to keep going, because it's looking for the shortest route. Just keep dragging. There we go. I'm going to make this a little smaller so we can see the whole thing that I'm building. And drag it over here. Okay. Now look, I'm almost at Alito High School. I'm gonna go down this highway. You're gonna go under 20. You're still on 1187, and then you can decide how you go to the high school. You can take this street, whichever that is. This plus, let's do that. Called East Bankhead, and that will take you there. You could always come down to that one if you want it, and basically, you're back to the high school. And you just put the end point here. Let me move that over back. Yeah, you come back the same route. So that's the loop. I just built a loop in your area outside of Fort Worth. And you can see there's nothing out here. It probably looks like farm country or whatever is out there, but you can see where everything's built up. That's what we're doing right now. We drive on the outskirts of Harris County, and we start riding there, and we just head out, and we could do this. You could do this route every week and take different roads. You could come and use this road one day. You could go that way like you did the first time. You could go straight up if you want it. You can always try to go. There's a smaller town here called Weatherford. That's what we've been doing. Visit these little towns. So you see this highway 180, even though it's yellow, it's a good highway you could use to get into Weatherford because there's not a lot of industry. What that means is the volume of cars will be less, even though their speeds are higher. And chances are this road will be very good. You can always go up this road, take Dicey, come down Dicey, drop on 180 and go into Weatherford. Then when you leave Weatherford, you could go up 51, go up to 199. Springtown, you could visit that town, come down. That's what we're doing. All these little towns. And the experience is different on bicycle than with a car. Just make sure that when you're way out here like that, you got your patch kit stocked. You got your tire levers and everything you need because you're going out in the country and you don't want to depend on having to call for a ride or that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop there. Put your questions and comments below. But this is how you would do it. This is just Google Maps. And so just to wrap up, you would basically go in here and ask for directions, select bicycle, and then you click on the map of where you want. Because all I did was I searched for, I believe I said Dallas, Texas. That's where I started. And I just dragged to the area I wanted. And you just basically give yourself directions, select bicycle. Don't pay too much attention to what it's saying here. It's saying 42 miles will take you 3 hours and 56 minutes. Let me see details. Okay, great. So it even gives you turn by turn for the route that I put together. You could use this. Let me go back. I think it lets you send it to your phone. Let's see here. You can send the directions to your phone, which I think is really cool. I don't know what it looks like, but you can try that. Send it to your phone, and it's better to keep it on your phone than to have a piece of paper necessarily. It'll be a lot easier for you. But I would suggest that the first time you do something like this, send it to your phone and also print out. Like you could do this and do a screenshot so that you can have something to where you can see the names of the main area of your map. This picture, you put that in your pocket and then send it to your phone, I think. And then before the ride, you review it. You get yourself familiar with it. It makes a big difference. That's what I do. I look at it and in my mind's eye, I will always know where I am relative to, let me move. You get any little things like that, move it back, drag it back. Don't leave it on there. Outside of Fort Worth looks like the best area there. Also, look right here. North of Fort Worth, this area here again is another area you would do a route in there. You got a lot of choices in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You just want to stay away from, of course, Dallas, Arlington. It's all built up now. That's what you're running into. And that state park you're riding in that you talked about has got to be somewhere rural. So some of the roads near the state park would become part of your route as well as going into the state park. Because you can see up here, there's a nature preserve right here, Lila. You could do something in here. There's a lot of little streets in there. Depends on what kind of mileage. And then over here, all in between these yellows, that's where you want to play. Anywhere you see very few intersections that you see my mouse going, that's where you want to play. In here, it's a mess. No point bothering with that. Even here, you're close to, this is Dallas itself. Look between here, McClendon, this 205, in between 205 and 80. There's riding you can do in here if you lived in that area. All in between there is where you could ride. The fewer intersections you can find, the better. But you definitely want to go out as much as possible. I know this part of Dallas is probably flat. The east side, I remember. I know I was familiar with Plano. I've been out there. That was mostly east. There weren't a whole lot of climbing. But Dallas has some nice climbing. And maybe you can go north. Look up here. You want to go for the sparsely populated area. So if you're already riding near the there's a national wildlife refuge up here. It's kind of far out. I'm not sure what it's close to. Let me shrink this down. So that's what you're looking for. You want things that will get you outside of the city center. Like in between here, let's see, this is 380. Shrink that down. Forestburg, Roston, Greenwood, depending on where you live. You could ride in here. You can even ride on 82, 59, all these roads. You can tell by, if you look at Dallas itself, look at how many white lines crossing each other. That's all those blocks of streets. That's how you know how congested it is. And then you start to go left, right in here. Look how wide open these, look at the white lines, how far apart they are. That lets you know that they're sparsely populated. Same thing up here. It is not very far from the city. So you got choices. You got tons of choices in there. All in here. You could ride. These are the areas you ride in. Right here. You can even use these roads. You get to them and just go. And look at this is 35. So west of 35, Boulevard, Slidell, Greenwood, all these little places, you can ride there. Where you see fewer intersections, like you can see how congested this is. You don't want to bother with that. That's all, you know, it's just all these white lines crossing each other, they're blocks. So you have those choices. Okay, I'll wrap it up there, and I hope this helps you. I hope this answers your question. So I want to show the same thing using Garmin Connect and show you how much easier it is on Garmin Connect. Everybody that has a Garmin head unit, like a 520, it has base maps on those. I know the 800 series and the 1000 series have full maps. You get a free Garmin Connect account. This is where I manage all my data. Whatever I send to Strava comes from here. Connect.garmin.com. You can set up a free account. Once you get an account set up and you can upload stuff from your head unit. You can go into the account and set up courses and get the courses sent down to your head unit. So you would come under training that's got courses. You would create a new course. Now, I've set it up to where it's using Google Maps. It has choices of Google Maps, and then it has OpenStreetMap. The OpenStreetMap is a public course. So if you build anything using OpenStreetMaps, that course is available to everybody who's on Garmin Connect. I use Google Maps because it's probably the most updated and it's consistent with what I showed earlier. So I want to show apples and apples to show you how much easier it is to do on Garmin Connect using Google Maps. So you come in here, you can search like I did before. You type, say, Dallas, Texas. You search for Dallas, Texas. It shows downtown Dallas. I'm going to drag the map over because we're outside Fort Worth in an area called Aledo right there. The high school's not showing up. I'm going to zoom in because you have to be at a certain zoom level to see the points of interest. There's a high school now. So I'm going to move it over a little bit. Okay. Now, on Garmin Connect, the cool thing is that you can show what they call popularity heat maps. Let's see, where are my options? It says hide list and options. I don't want to do that. There we go. There's my popularity heat map. By selecting this, it will show purple choices on the map. Let me create the course here so it can show up. I'm going to use a custom drawing method. So I will select later. I don't like to use round trip. It kind of limits your options. So once you do create course, then Garmin Connect displays the popularity heat maps. Since I didn't have a course being created, it wasn't showing the purple heat map. Well, the purple lines indicate is that these are roads that other cyclists are using frequently that have uploaded data to Garmin Connect. Even though like you see the purple line here in 1187 stops in Toledo, it continues. If you go deeper in the zone, you can see. So even if you just see a piece, it applies to that entire road. It just doesn't display on every zoom level. So for example, just as a quick demo, I'm going to say, let's create a map. I always like to give them names because when they come down to your head unit, they need to make sense to you. So I'm going to call this Aledo. So I call it Aledo High School. That at least gives me a good reference to what the route relates to. A lot of times I will name it after the towns we're going to visit. So I like to do the pace calculator where I don't put in a goal time because then it restricts me too much. I like to put in the speed because if you put in the goal time of 3 hours, then you have to play with the map to make sure that your route does not exceed that. So I like to put the speed that I think we're going to do, and then I map it and it will tell me how long it will take. So I do it that way. I told it the choice by doing custom drawing. I have choices here. I can do freehand. I can just follow the generic white roads, or I can follow the popularity routing, the purple lines. So I'm telling the map to follow that. So since I'm starting at the high school, I'm going to zoom into the high school right there. I'm going to click somewhere. It looks like the parking lot somewhere here. So you click on the map. That's the start point. And since I told it to use the popularity routing, you can see as I zoom out, we got a purple line here. As I zoom in, it became white. That's what I was talking about. So it gives you a good gauge. It doesn't really follow the map on every zoom level, but this is a good one here. So by telling it to follow that, all you want to do is click in the direction that you want to go. So for example, I'm going to scroll down a little bit and shrink it. Okay, because the last time when we did this, we went up, I believe, this way. So let's say if I clicked here, the start point is there and I click over here, you can see it followed the purple line. It did not choose some other way to get there. Okay, that's the key for selecting popularity routing. So I'm going to continue to go up to about here. And you can see, I'm going to make the map a little smaller so you can see. So now I have the option of going this way, going up there. Wherever you click, it will select. Let me go zoom. Now you can see I'm going to go down one level and show you something. That's white right now. But then you zoom in and purple lines show up. So even though it wasn't showing on this zoom level, it's still heavily traveled by cyclists. It just takes out the guesswork. So we had mapped it using Google Maps, but this just really confirms before you get out there that, hey, a lot of riders are using this road. And it just really, helps you relax knowing that, man, I'm making some good choices here. So I'm going to click here. This is White Settlement Road. I'm going to click here, let the map come that way. Then I'm going to say, okay, I want to route this way, come across this highway. It will select for me. And these mile markers, these are kilometer markers because my choice in my account settings and under my profile, I told it to use kilometers. You can set whatever you want. And it puts the mileage on there. And as I'm going through, you can come back over here and see now it says it would take me an hour to do the 28 kilometers because that's what I put there for my average speed. And that's just hopeful because if the conditions change or if there's a lot of climbs, it might be different. You might take a little longer. So the first time you might want to be a little more conservative until you get familiar with the course. You could come back this way if you wanted to, or you could go across. I've chosen to go across. So I'm going to come down here and say, hey, I want to come back to the high school on this way. So what I like about this is by selecting popularity routing, I don't have to click every corner. I can just come way over here and say, okay, get me back here. It will choose the best way to get back. You can see it avoided 20. 20 is an interstate. Then I will come back to the high school and say, okay, that's my end point. There you go. You have a route. That's how easy it is. If you're not happy with anything you've selected, while you have the map unsaved, you can undo one click at a time. And it will just back you up. Like if you took a road you weren't too happy with, or you get to the end and you say, man, hour 41, I got more time. I want to ride for 2 more hours. So then you would just undo. You can see the finish line moving back. You could undo and then say, okay, I'm going to go visit another place up here. So I'm going to come up here. I want to visit that place. I want to visit this place. I want to come down over here. Okay, if you want to come on this side of 820, that's an option. You just click in the general direction. Because I've selected popularity routing, it would choose the easiest roads to use. That's what's nice about this. You could come all the way down there. It will pick for you. Come over here. It will route you however you get back. And you can see how quickly I got back to the high school. And now look, I added another hour that easily. Let me shrink this so you can see. Okay. That what I think is very, very valuable for having a Garmin Connect. And I think it's a nice thing that they're doing that. You know, you have to have an account to have access to the popularity maps. And so you contribute to it too. So as you go out there and you ride and you load it on Garmin, they put it in the database. So everybody, oh yeah, these people are riding on these roads. That's a great thing to have, and it will work every part of the world pretty much. You know, that's very, very nice. So I just wanted to show that this is what I use. I don't use the Google Maps, but I started with the Google Maps. For those of you who don't have Garmin Connect, you can also use that. And it's similar, but this is so much easier. It gives you more confidence knowing that you're picking very, very lightly traveled roads by fast traffic and heavily traveled roads by cyclists. You can save the course. Once you save the course, it says it's having trouble saving my course. I'm not sure why. Maybe I need to log in. There we go. Okay. So it saved the course. Now you can see the elevation. So that's going to be some nice climbing. The cool thing about this I like is as I move this, you see the little green circle in the blue mouse pointer here. It lets me know where the climbs are on the map. Look at this and look at this. Look on the map as I move there. You'll see a blue. You see that blue bubble on the map course? That lets you know where your toughest climbs are. So before you get out there, you can know where you're going to be working. Look at that. On the way back to the high school, there's going to be a nice climb right here. That lets you know how to gauge your energy. I wanted to say that. And once you're happy with this, you can send it to your device. Once you send it to your device has to be connected to your computer, and you use the Garmin Connect tool, which is down here, Garmin Express. This is a free software app that needs to be on you. That's what does the connection to Garmin, the website. Okay. So you send that to your device, it saves it in there and will give you turn-by-turn directions. If you make any changes to this and you resend it, it will resynchronize the map again, as long as the name is the same. If you change the name, it will be a new map. That's what's nice about that. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop there and get those Ks coming in. And I hope this helps some of you get more adventures in.